How do you guys actually treat alcohol?
In the big cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, people are quite open about it. The rural areas, it's still a taboo. So it's kind of strange because it's like unspoken truth because everybody knows everybody does it. It's just that nobody wants to talk about it in the public.
Hello and welcome to the Tequila Business Channel. My name is Adam Fodor. I'll be your host. And today's special guest is Kunal Kaul from India. So first of all, here's our vice president for the International Tequila Academy, doing lots of tequila courses. We've seen a huge growth in India over the years, and he's the head of the Grape Expectations, through which he provides various other courses, from sake to whiskey to wine. Whatever is your weapon of choice, Kunal is there to help you out. Welcome to the show, Kunal.
Thank you. Thanks, Adam, for having me. It's wonderful to be here. Looking forward to a enthusiastic chat for the coming hour. Well, we're based in India, as you just mentioned. I come from the capital, Delhi. I head an organization that's called Grape Expectations. We are a beverage training institution. We are a handful of WSET program providers in the country. We do WSET in wines, in spirits. We are also India's only providers of sake education through the Sake Sommelier Association. We do introductory, we do certified sake sommelier. Of course, International Tequila Academy. We do both the levels, level one and level two. We'll talk about that, of course, a little later. Whiskey ambassador, gin ambassador, Cicerone beer, you name it, we have it. Everything under one umbrella. Yeah, that's pretty much the introduction of the organization. Yeah, in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the introduction. And just if you're from India, just get in touch with Kunal and whatever spirit or beverage you're interested in. I'm sure he can sort it out. And of course, you have a lot to thank to Kunal just to get started. In a sense that I believe you've trained 138 people or something like that, according to our database, which is incredible. Just so you know, we have a little bit over 1,600 students, which includes everything, even some of the G4 course students, which we have quite a few. And so this is wonderful. After the United States, actually, India is our second biggest sort of segment for education. So well done on that, Kunal. Can you explain a little bit, like what do you see? Like I see like Indians just have this
Yeah,
thirst for
yeah,
knowledge, just
absolutely.
like
And
more culturally
if
than
we
many
talk
other
about
countries.
tequila
What do you
and
see?
agave spirits, last few years have been very, very different. The graph of tequila consumption has gone up drastically. I remember about 5 years ago, if you go to a liquor shop, you would find like just the usual, the big boys labels out there, probably four, five labels that you could see in the capital. Now we have over 40 labels from different importers, and new keep coming in. And as the consumption soars, of course, the thirst for knowledge increases too. India is a growing market, and people want
Okay.
to know more about beverages. People want to know more about beverages that they've not had in the past. India has always been a whiskey driven market since forever. But of late, sake, tequila especially, has been doing very well. And, people do want to know what is there in tequila apart from just taking a shot. That's there too. But beyond that, they want to know what tequila is, where does it come from, what's it made of, what are the different
Right.
styles of tequila. So yeah, we Indians have, you said it, we have a lot of thirst of knowledge. We want to learn more. We're pretty switched on culturally. We're pretty switched on. Education is important in every aspect of Indian culture, whether it's technical or medical stream, or even beverage education. So we like to know everything that there is to know about, really pretty much whatever there's out in the market.
Yeah, that's what I see. By the way, it's incredible to even just see the growth, and I'm going to provide you and whoever's listening with some interesting stats about India. So, in according to CRT, of course, because the CRT gives us some really cool statistical information. In 2020, we had a total of around 100,000 liters exported into India, and in 2023, so just 4 years later, or 3 years later, we already have like a 1 million liter exported to the country, which is literally every year the demand was doubling up. Basically, that's how it went in there. And Blanco is seemingly the highest number. Like you guys consume quite a few Blanco, but just a little bit after that, you consume a lot of Reposado. Maybe that has to do with the whiskey culture that you guys have, and Blancos may go to cocktails. I'm not sure. Just gonna leave that to you in a second. And there's another interesting fact is that while in 2020 around I think like 10% ish of the tequila sold were 100% agave tequila, now I can see like it's or almost around 40%. The 100% agave tequila segment also went up. So we have like the huge growth. We have like the Blanco to Reposado kind of consumption. I don't see a ton of añejo consumed, but it's more like Blanco and Reposado. And then we have the interesting fact about like the 100% agaves kind of breach, which maybe due to education. But I'm going to leave the word with you, Kunal. What would you take from these statistics that I was sharing with you?
Last 5 7 years,
Yeah.
India's changed as a nation a lot. Um, and it's a huge country. It's a massive country. We have 1.5 billion people, roughly, and it's now the economy of the country has improved as well. So people have a lot more disposable income compared to what they had about 7 8 10 years ago. So the middle class, especially, that they have the disposable income, and they want to spend it on trying new things. And since everybody's had whiskey like this small, um,
Mhm.
they want to try something new. And tequila, the global tequila trend, which has been seen in the last few years,
Mhm.
has a role to play in it as well, because people now travel outside and they see what's going on in other parts of the world, and they want to try it out back here as well. And thus the demand of tequila has grown exponentially. um, Again, yeah, it's a huge country, and yes, if you talk about the percentage or the number of people or the percentage of people who actually consume tequila compared to other countries, it will be very, very low. But even 1% of Indians drink tequila. That's close to a lot of people. That's almost the drinking population of some European countries. So that's a massive
Yeah.
market, and it is going to
So
grow further. It is going to grow further, because two beverages that I personally think have captured Indian market a lot in the last, you give figures of 3 years, 4 years, is sake, and the other one is tequila. These two are are increasing, and
mhm.
the lot of brands that keep coming in. A lot of importers are now paying attention to bringing in more tequilas into India, which was not the case earlier.
Interesting. And now that you mentioned this importation, actually, I wanted to also ask you about that a little bit, just to help people out. Like, is it easy to import a brand into the country? What sort of taxation system do you? Okay, it's not quite. Okay, you let it know.
Want to, I wouldn't have been able. We don't have the time to actually explain you every small detail. But just to give you a picture, first of all, importing
Of
is
course.
there are gray areas, and there are white areas. You can know.
Hmm.
Um, but the biggest challenge that country sees is the humongous duty taxes
Hmm.
that are put on the imported liquor. That's 150%. 150%. duties. That's not it. So something that's, let's say, $5 in US market or Mexico, the same thing you will find here for $25 or $20. Okay, so so what happens basically, the value of the product might not justify, sorry, the price might not justify what's in the bottle. Because that's technically a $5 bottle, $5 product back in
Mhm.
when it was imported.
Mhm.
But 150% tax is not the only thing. Then you've got state
Mhm.
taxes. So if I'm an importer, there are roughly around 30 states in India,
Mhm.
just like the US. So you need to register your label. Let's say it's a label. Let's say it's a label of tequila XYZ. If you import it, you need to register the label through the excise in the states that you want to sell it. Okay, so let's say you want to sell it in Delhi, so you need to go through the registration process of Delhi. Let's say you want to register in Mumbai, so it's not the same thing. So Delhi registration will not mean that you can automatically sell it in Mumbai. You'll have to get registered in that state, so on and so forth. So most importers choose only a couple of states, or 3 4 states max to max, because they know they won't be able to sell that much volumes in the other states. So, and the registration the registration is also different. That means the registration prices of registering a label in Delhi would be different to in Mumbai, would be different to in Bangalore, XYZ. So if you have a tequila XYZ, the same product will have a different price in Delhi and will have a different price in Mumbai, and will have a different price in everywhere else. So, for example, I don't want to name any brands here, but there's a massive
Ah, okay.
brand that you are aware of. Um, Starts with the J. Um, so that here, where I am in Haryana, costs about, if I'm not wrong, around 1,500 rupees. And in Mumbai, the same brand costs about 3,000. So that's double.
Wow. Wow. And like 1,500 rupees. Let me just get it in dollars because in the meantime, uh, yeah, it's all right. So it's making that, but it's crazy that in one state you can literally have double the price of the exact same product, and probably because of that you're gonna have some weird, yeah, right, yeah, and then you will have some gray stuff like a shipping through states, right? Because like if you have a state where the product's like twice the money, right? Like you're gonna be doing some shady stuff. Okay.
So the prices in Haryana are a lot lesser than in Delhi. So everybody from Delhi, not everybody, a lot from Delhi don't actually buy from Delhi. They go to Haryana, across the border, they fill their suitcases and they come back to Delhi because it's a lot cheaper. So, yeah, that's importing is registration is a challenge in the country. But hey, even despite all of that, despite
Yeah, fair enough. And I'm just trying to guess on the pricing. So like 1,500 rupees currently is $18, or almost spot on 18, and then it would mean that 3,000 would be 30, almost $40, $36, which is quite something. I'm gonna try and check it for what's like in the American market, because to be honest, I have no idea. So actually, in the American market, like it was a Cuervo. Well, which one? Like the cheapest Cuervo, right? That you're saying. Okay, so in the U.S., actually, a 750 ml bottle costs like $12. So here you have a liter, a 1 liter bottle, and yeah, for like a $12 or something like that. So in a sense, it's gonna be like nine, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Well, 12 for 700 milliliter is like $12. So it's actually sometimes in Mexico it's kind of crazy that you're just paying the same price for something that's just less quantity. So many times you go to the store and I have to do a little bit of a math, because sometimes even there's like a larger size actually works out to be worse than the smaller size. It's kind of weird in this country. But yeah, it's interesting to hear. And And of course, we're talking about Cuervo. So when you go, let's say like a Patron or something like that's a more premium, or Don Julio, it's probably even more crazy, right? I mean,
Don Julio is 6,500 rupees. 6,500 if I'm not, and that's here in my city, which has a cheaper registration than any other state.
so actually, getting to the Indian market, it's not an easy thing, but once you're in there, and if you have a great distributor, yeah.
Yes, entering is difficult, but you will the market is getting bigger by the day. A lot of people who want to drink tequila. A lot of people don't know what it is still. That's why we are here. But
Nice. And what are the most popular ones?
yeah, oh, Jose is of course on the top, obviously, um, without any doubt. You've got Camino, that's been in the market for ages. That was one of the first ones. You've got Souza, of course, all the big ones. You've got 1800, which is also quite famous, and Patron and Don Julio. So all the big boys basically. But slowly and steadily, mezcal. We don't have a lot of labels of mezcal here. I think in totality, India has about maybe four labels max of mezcals. But the market for mezcal is slowly increasing. People are realizing, yeah, okay, it's not tequila, it's something else, but it's interesting. So mezcals are also uh, being drunk, and people are enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that mezcal really has this traction from tequila because people are realizing that mezcal is kind of the predecessor, or there's something cool about it, but it's connected to tequila. And in a sense, we all know. I mean, well, not necessarily all the consumers, but tequila used to be mezcal. So it's kind of, if someone wants a little bit more smokier kind of beverage, and I would assume as well that I actually just had a few people, particular tasting from India, well, different origin from India, and then moved to the States, but they lived most of their lives in India. And since she told me that, like, from 5 years old, you guys are drinking Scotch, I would assume that you guys like the heavier peaty, sort of like a right smoky Scotch.
So we naturally gravitate towards mezcals, because of that profile. But also one more interesting fact, and that has kind of been instrumental in increasing the sales of tequila, which I'll give you, which I'll just share with you, is that we've got two Indian agave brands now. Yeah, yeah, we have two agave brands now. So not a lot of people know this. Neither I knew it, of course. So there's wild agave that grows in India, agave americana. It's different to Weber, and this grows on the South India, towards the south, growing wild. And a gentleman named Desmond G has been making agave spirits for a while now, for a number of years. The brand is also Desmond G, so he makes blanco. He doesn't make a aged one. He makes all blancos. And Off late, in the last 3 years, there's another player that has come in, which is called Pistola, and Pistola has this huge range. They won few awards as well, and it's quite decent, no doubt about it. Pistola has a blanco, it's a reposado, it has a añejo, it has an extra añejo, it has the full range. So due to and Pistola is registered in a number of states, unlike Desmond G, which is registered in only Goa. So people now, let's say somebody is in Delhi, somebody in Mumbai, the big cities, Bangalore, that's where Pistola has been registered. So it catches the eye of the people who actually can spend money in the big cities. And because of that, what has happened is people have started to drink it and they want to understand, okay, this is not your regular whiskey, etc. This is agave. Okay, what else is agave? Okay, tequila is agave. So that's how you make the connection, and that's also kind of helped in promoting what tequila is really. So Indian agave brands have kind of pushed agave sales, not entirely by themselves, but it's given it that little push. Um, so that's very interesting. I did not know that India had agave 3 years ago.
Yeah, but as you're saying, like it's big. So and because of the taxation, they're going to be more competitive because they don't have to pay the importation tax, right? So they I would assume they're cheaper products. Huh? Interesting. And do you see these agave spirits in India even replacing tequila in some cases? Let's say if people want to make cocktails or they go to bars.
Find them in retail shops, you find them in liquor stores, you find them find bartenders doing bartending nights with all of these ones. But I don't see in any near future it replacing tequila. Because somebody who goes with the mindset of buying tequila from a liquor house is going to buy tequila. He's not going to buy
Mhm.
this.
And I can see that, especially in the US, some of the sales for tequila is just coming from the fact that it's just the street for margarita, for example. So, do you guys have this sort of cocktail culture in India?
Happened in the last 4 or 5 years. Massive cocktail culture has
Mhm.
come in, and of course, tequila tequila cocktails. The tequila is used in a number of cocktails. So yeah, the massive cocktail culture that has hit India. A lot of bars have come up. A lot of restaurants have come. A lot of Mexican restaurants have also come up, which. Of course, they're playing their role too. In Goa, I see every other day there's some cocktail night, this night, that night. So in Delhi as well, in Mumbai. So um, a lot of activity keeps going on in this country now, which didn't happen 10 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. Plus, you've got events, the consumer events like WinExpo, like Pro Wine, all of these that again have come into India in the last 3, 4, just after COVID. All of them also help because then the importers and the brands can showcase their products there and appeal to the consumers directly. So yeah, last 5 years have been very exciting, I would say.
And was there a transition? Because as the way is also I can imagine that as like so like 10 years ago people were maybe using it as a shot sort of drink perhaps, and now you see more people drinking the cocktails or really.
Well, most of it is still shots, for sure. Um, a lot of it is in cocktails. Majority is shots and cocktails. Only a few people are having tequila, are savoring tequila. Okay, um, very few of them. Uh, but the ones who are savoring them are generally the ones who know a little bit about tequila, and they like to buy the reposados, the anejos, because that kind of gives them a feeling of sipping on a whiskey, but not a whiskey. So that's kind of the breakup that you would see.
Okay, so we get more cocktails, which would drive the sales for Blanco, and I would imagine also Blanco is your shooter style primarily, right? Okay. And then the reposado is basically, okay, well, it's a nice substitute perhaps for whiskey or something. And I may imagine that it's even cheaper. I mean,
Yeah, no, a reposado and a single malt is about the same price. Yeah, yeah, it's about the same price. Well, a lot of people choose single malt, of course, because that's the majority of the market. But as you've seen the figures, a lot of them are now gravitating towards something new, which is different. I mean, for an Indian consumer, I mean, for an Indian consumer, somebody who's been drinking whiskey all his life, tequila is something fresher, something nicer, something different, which doesn't give him or her the same palate that a whiskey does. So sometimes you get tired of drinking the same thing for years and years together, and you want to try something new. So I think that kind of transition is happening in the Indian market of late. We want, and we've got, that's another thing. 10 years ago, we didn't have. I mean, the middle class didn't have a lot of disposable income. Now, as the economy grows, the middle class increases. There's a lot of disposable income. It's fifth largest economy now, so it's a lot of people have a lot of disposable income, so they want to try something new. That's how it works.
Interesting, and I just wanted to. There's something just popped into my mind as well, with like the middle class growing and disposable income, trying new things. How is India with these celebrity brands, especially in the US? You have Casamigos and Terramana.
We have Termana, we have Casamigos, we have both of them here. Yeah, but Termana is not. But they're not massively big. We got just the other day this another importer, 818. What's her name? I forgot the name. 818. Jenna, yeah. Her tequila. So these are coming in India, but I don't see them making such a big mark on the Indian market just because they're celebrity brands that compared to what they did in the US.
Yeah, well, my question is though as well that, for example, even in Europe, like I'm from Hungary, and we also don't really know. Like, I know Kendall Jenner from the fact that she
Me
was a
neither. Me
friend
neither.
and
Me
she
neither.
was all in the magazines. I'm not sure about you guys, right? Probably the same. Exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if Herticula is not gonna be so big outside of the US. But The Rock is, I would assume, huge. I mean, you guys have Bollywood. I mean,
No, no. Yeah, see, if you pick up a bottle of Taramana, Taramana is, if I'm not wrong, it is about 13 or 14,000 rupees a bottle here. In Mumbai, it's going to be, yeah, in Mumbai, it's about 20,000 if I'm not wrong, or even more than that. So that's a lot of money. Okay. So that's a lot of money. So in
wow,
20,000 rupees in Mumbai,
that is okay.
I can buy a lot of stuff. Even if I'm going for liquor, I buy a lot of liquor in 20,000 rupees. So the question is whether I want to spend that much money just because it's a celebrity brand, or would I rather buy three bottles or four bottles of a good single malt whiskey in that money? Or if I want to have tequila, I would go and buy a decent bottle, 1800, for example, which will cost me a lot less.
Yeah, I see. And just for those who are listening, sorry, Kunal, to interrupt you a little bit. So like 1,500 rupees was like $18, and we're talking about 20,000 rupees, right? So around like over $200, and that's insane. I mean, for $200, especially in Europe, you get like Class as well, which is like this amazing ceramic bottle. Maybe you know that one, and then you get like a piece of the art. That's how, at least in Europe, we like to think, or outside of the US, and even in the US. I mean, it's hand painted, like, it's a handmade something, and that's like $200, let's say. So, or you can get like an extra añejo, something like a really, like a higher value tequila, or some of these special editions. So yeah, like buying a Teremana or some of these celebrity bands, which I agree with you, it's around the same as buying an 1800. I mean, technically speaking, they're not very dissimilar. Like, they're probably it's very similar in the process and the production method, and the brands.
The 1800 is 3,500, around 3,500, 4,000. Yeah, no, and yeah, if somebody wants to buy a bottle of Terramana, the only reason they'll buy a bottle of Terramana is because it's Dwayne Johnson's, and they are going to, they're willing to spend that much money. Randomly, if somebody walks in a liquor store, he's not going to go to Terramana. I mean, in this country, in this part of the world.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
interesting. It's a special occasion
absolutely.
tequila there because I mean, it's
It is.
it's expensive, and because of that, and it's not even a great business for these guys, because like most of that is tax,
Yes.
literally. So
Yes,
yeah,
wines too.
it's
Yeah,
it's not it's an interesting
wines too.
market.
Well,
Okay.
India and the UK. Well, India and Australia have got an FTA now. So over a period of time, the free trade agreement will reduce the prices of Australian spirits or wines that are coming into India. India and UK are working on an FTA. So the single malt will start costing lesser once the FTA is signed, but it's been going on for ages. So we don't know when that's going to happen. India and Mexico, as of yet, nothing.
Yeah,
So
fair
I
enough.
hope that
Yeah,
happens.
it's interesting to
Yeah.
to hear because I usually complain about like the price of French wines here. I'm not sure if you've been to France. Like for 10 euros or sometimes 20 euros, you get these amazing wines already. And the same 10 euro wine here is like 40, 50 or something like that. And it's like, why? Like it's so sad that it's hard to get a great wine because of problems of the taxation or I don't know, maybe supply demand as well. But you guys obviously have your fair share of the taxation. But and of course, even in Mexico, you do have some interesting weird taxes. Just for those curious, like it's like it's value based as well, like the local tax, not just the importation tax, but even the local tax, like 53% on top of the price, which is just I don't know, it's just insane to me. Like most of the other countries they have like a fixed fee for the alcohol, that you put in, and that's it. But here for some reason it's that sort of you know they punish you if you want to sell it for a higher fee. To be fair, yeah, yeah, which exactly is fair. I always tell people like if someone's trying to kind of promote tequila with or anything else with alcohol like with health benefits, I think it's kind of a mistake. It's not healthy really. I mean, in small quantities, I do believe it can be healthy, but that's a different story. In my home country in Eastern Europe, I'm not sure if in India it's the same thing. Like when you have a cold or something like that, you just kind of that's like the medicine because the blood alcohol it will make even the bacteria. Exactly. But the thing is, it's kind of like who dies first, your white, how do you say, blood cells or the bacteria, basically. And in the end, if you survive, you're going to be better. But definitely. But how do you guys actually treat alcohol?
That's a good question. Well, in the large cities, in the big cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and other large cities, people are quite open about it. In the rural areas, the smaller parts, the interiors of the country, it's still a taboo. It's still a taboo. So it's kind of strange because it's like unspoken truth because everybody knows everybody does it. It's just that nobody wants to talk about it in the public. It's kind of like that. The India drinks a lot of alcohol. Okay, the figures for it's always been one of the top consumers of Scotch whiskey, and other stuff too. But it's just that. It's kind of a taboo in a way that although you go out and purchase alcohol and drink it, you don't want to accept it out in the public that I'm doing it. So in that regard, it's a bit of a taboo, but I think that's changing as well. That's as a lot of Indians have started traveling abroad. They've seen the culture. They bring the culture back. They kind of have the exposure now of the West, and so they're adapting. They're adapting. It's changing. Yeah, but in a bigger picture, it's still viewed as a semi-taboo. You would say not completely bad, but people, you get a few frowns here and there. Yeah. There are breweries everywhere. Everybody knows what they're doing. There are so many liquor shops, and of course, people must be buying, and that's why they exist. But it's just that nobody wants to accept it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's pretty much how I thought. I mean, I was traveling even in Egypt. It's the same kind of thing. Like it's even according to their faith, it's not even acceptable to even drink it or anything. But when they say like when God or Allah doesn't see you, like in these clubs underground, basically, it's like you can just go and party and whatever. So I think there's quite a few cultures. Even in the States, there is a certain, they have their own sort of temperance kind of movement back in the days. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's not even alcohol, is it? Beer is not even in some places. Yeah, it's not even alcohol. Yeah,
exactly. Oh yeah.
um,
It's just
yeah,
some true. Yeah, it's just some aroma is in there. It's just really over beer. Like it's just. I mean, if you think about it, it's just fermented beverage. So yeah, it's unless it's something like harder.
yeah, yeah. In India, in, yeah, yeah, yeah. In India, we've got a couple of dry states. I think two dry states. That doesn't alcohol is prohibited in those states. Everybody drinks
Oh,
there. They manage. There's bootlegging, there's smuggling everywhere in that state. I mean, yeah, it'll be more expensive than the rest,
yeah.
no doubt. But people, it's easy access. I mean, all you need to do is just know the right people, and you'll get home delivered. Yeah, you can.
But can you travel to another
No, you
state
can.
and
Yeah,
just buy it
you can.
there and bring it
You
back?
yeah,
Or is it also
no,
free
you
then?
can. As if
Okay.
I am
So,
flying
oh, you
off to
can't.
that
Okay,
state, which
sorry.
is a dry state, and I am a tourist,
Okay.
which I'm just staying there for, let's say, 3, 4, 5 days. I can bring alcohol with me. Yes, that's for my personal
Hmm.
consumption because I am coming from a state that's not dry, so I can carry it with me. Um, yeah, it's weird, man. Yeah. Some of these because
Ah, okay.
dry states
So
is
I
equal
guess
to,
dry
I mean,
straits have a
as
lot
any other
of
state.
tourism.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, on paper. So yeah,
Tourism, right? Like on paper. On paper.
it
Yeah.
happens. It happens. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I seem, when I meet any sort of, anyone from India, you guys seem to be really resourceful people as
Yeah,
well, like
we're very
Mexicans. So,
resourceful.
you sort things out.
We're very
I
resourceful
guess
that way.
it's very much like that, isn't it? And just wanted to ask, because you started with wine education, right? Is that correct? Like with the WSET. Uh, so you talk about Scotch whiskey, and that's also kind of my impression whenever I meet someone from India that they're like Scotch, Scotch, Scotch. But so wine consumption, is it like bigger than Scotch, or it's
Nothing
kind
is
of
bigger
like
than
drink Scotch
Scotch.
for different
Nothing is bigger
occasion,
than
or
Scotch.
how does it
Scotch is
relate?
the king of all here in India.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
great. Okay. Mhm. So in your okay. So did you do
Yeah,
that Scotch
there
education
is a
more
there is a
people
decent
signing up for your
demand
Scotch class than wine,
for
or
the
not
whiskey
necessarily?
course that we
Was
do,
it trans?
but not always. It depends on the time of the year as well. But as far as the sales are concerned, the brands available in the market, you won't
Mhm.
find any other liquor coming close to Scotch brands. Um, because from the very beginning of that I remember, I've always seen Scotch brands in liquor shops and all. Everything else came after. India has always been a big Scotch market.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. And just relation to Scotch, because I think it's a really great comparison for tequila. So how many students do you get? Like double, sort of like the Scotch is double, triple, or what's the size of the tequila interest compared to Scotch? What do you say?
15, 18 students, 15 students. Um, so yeah, more than tequila, absolutely. Equivalent to
Okay.
wines.
Mhm.
Yeah, equivalent to wines. Although wine's not as big
Mhm.
as Scotch is or whiskey is in India yet.
Mhm.
Um, but the whole, we've been really inclined of late in promoting the tequila education, because we think we want to give something different to the audiences.
Yeah.
We want to educate them a lot more on tequila. Um, number of students that you will come across in India, all of them have had Scotch at one point of time or other, or know decently well about Scotch whiskey. But tequila, there is still a lot of void that we want to fill. But yeah, it's work in progress. We haven't reached, of course, it's going to take time for us to reach the levels of Scotch whiskey or any other whiskey. But as you said, we've trained about the last couple of years. Since 2022, we've trained close to 140 students, level one. We just did level two, as you know, and had a very good response to that as well. So, yeah, it's moving on nicely. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We should be. This year should be a better year as far as tequila education is concerned compared to the last one.
Yeah, and just want to let you know, like, or say, thanks for your hard work, Kunal. Because to be honest, I never thought when first you reached out, like, India's growing and people are interested. Like, yeah, maybe I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a huge country, but yeah, I agree. Over the years, we really saw a lot more people moving in, and I see you're doing classes even in Mumbai, which is really awesome. So there's now even two cities in India that's covered and we can have access to. So I just want to, you have my thanks. It's really, an honor to work with you. It's great to have you there. and, and maybe it's a little bit of a cliche to ask you because you are an educator, but I always ask this question from everyone that I do an interview with. So what do you think, how important is consumer education in tequila on a scale of 10?
15. Because I think it's very important for you to know what you're drinking, number one, and it's very important to know what you're serving, whether if you're behind the bar. And unless and until, number one, you do not know what you're selling, you will not be able to sell a lot of it. That's what I tell all my students too. And you will not be able to maximize profit. Number two, it's important for you to know what you're drinking because you've spent money on it. So would you rather spend your money on something that you don't know anything about, or would you rather spend your money on something that you know a lot about, and then make sure that next time whether you want to do it, or probably spend a little bit more to get a better product of the same genre, basically. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Wow, awesome. I mean, I've never heard anyone uh, being so rational and like economist style kind of explanation, right? It's all about economy. I love that. So what you're saying is, if you want to sell something, the more you know about it, the more you can sell, and you maximize your profits, which is good for you. And then if you're on the buyer end, you can make sure that whenever you spend any sort of amount of money, then you get the most value out of it. Because you're right. Like, let's say I want to spend a little bit more on a better tequila. If I don't know anything about tequila, the chances are I'm not going to be able to do that, right? I mean, I'm just going to get another tequila. I have no idea if it's better or if it's worse, if it's good for me. And by doing these educational classes, whether it's for tequila or whether for wine or whatever it is, it's going to make you, help, get better decisions and, to sell more. It's wonderfully spoken. Cheers for that. Um, and I think it's a great note to end this conversation on as
My
well.
pleasure. My pleasure.
I'd like to
It's
thank
been
you for your
great.
time, Kunal. It's been wonderful
It's been
speaking
great
with you
2 years with International Tequila Academy. Some a lot more years meant to that in future, and it was great to speak with you, Adam. I think such podcasts, lovely work that you're doing with these podcasts. I've not seen a lot of them, from start to finish, because that will take a lot of time. But I think I think the market needs it. People need to see,
Certainly.
and whomever you're doing it with, I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, thanks so much. Well, just wanted to add really that's why we have like the business kind of part of it. And I think that's kind of hidden and that's the way I can also learn from you. So
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm a
Mm.
selfish person. I love to learn. And I love to take the brains from people like you who in many ways you know much more than me or different. I mean, I know nothing about India except for I met a few people from there, but I've never been there. And I think it's great to have people, if I may even say experts, and I don't like to use the word, but let's say people of
Mhm.
wisdom or knowledge that can actually
My
help to
pleasure.
understand the whole business more. So thanks
My
again,
pleasure.
Kunal, for being our guide for this wonderful Indian market. For you guys listening, thanks a lot for chipping in. have a wonderful day, and see you in another podcast.